ﷺ then said, بين عينيه مكتوب بين عينيه كافر بهجاء يقرأه كل مؤمن كاتب أو غير كاتب قارئ أو غير قارئ أو كاتب أو غير كاتب. That they would read and see kufr written between the two eyes of this Dajjal. And it would be written in an alphabet. He said, بِهِجَاءٍ, in Tabarani, بِهِجَاءٍ. An alphabet. It would be written in an alphabet that says kafir, unbeliever. And they would be able to read it, every mu'min, whether literate or illiterate, whether they can read or they can't read. Now, one of the phenomena of this age is what's known as the semiotics. In other words, in order to facilitate people who can't read, things are literally written in semiotic alphabet, not by pictures. So for instance, you see Shell station, they don't write Shell anymore, if people notice that. They don't write Shell. They just have a shell and everybody knows that's Shell. So you don't have to know how to read Shell to know that it's the Shell station. This is one of the phenomena of our age, is that people can literally read things through semiotics without having to have this knowledge. And then in the other tradition, he says, "Min a'lam as-sa'a," Al-Tabarani relates this, "Yakun al-waladu ghayda." Children would become full of rage. "Wal-mataru qayda," and the rain would be burning. It would be burning. You see, qayda means to burn. وَتَفِيضُ الْأَشْرَارُ فَيْضًا, and evil people would be prevalent everywhere. وَمِنْ أَعْلَامِ السَّاعَةِ مُلْكُ الصُّبْيَانِ, children would begin to own, they would become مُلْكُ الصُّبْيَانِ, that they would have dominion, children. And this is part of the Dajjal system, is to empower children over their parents. In other words, they give children rights that they can literally take their parents to court, sue their parents, become divorced from their parents. They can do this in the Dajjal system. I mean, this is happening right now in this country, and they want this to be all over the world. They want these rules to be implemented. This system, they want it to be implemented all over the world. What they call the rights of the child. And we recognize that children have rights in Sharia, but we also recognize the limitations of those rights. وَمُؤَامَرَةُ النِّسَاءِ, and the conspiracy of the women. This is also a sign of the end of subhanallah. This is hadith in Tabarani over 1400 years ago, that there would be a conspiracy of women all over the world. And part of this conspiracy is literally to completely undermine the family system as it exists in every single religious culture. They want to completely undermine the authority of the father, that the father should have authority in the household. No. And this is happening in our time. So this is all preparation for the final coming of this Masih al-Dajjal, the impostor Christ. So the system is literally being formulated. And if you don't think it, then you're like the Prophet ﷺ, حَتَّى يَظْهَرَ النَّاسُ مِنْ ذِكْرِهِ, until people are in complete heedlessness about who the Dajjal is, about what he is. The Prophet clearly clarified that the Dajjal is literally the antagonist, the impostor Christ. He's the opposite of Jesus. Now if you look at what that means, you see, Dajjal means an imposter, somebody pretending to be something they're not. If you look at Isa alayhi salam, Isa's tradition, unlike the Muhammadan way, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the Prophet's way is a way in which the dunya is recognized and fulfilled. In other words, the dunyawi obligations, alhamdulillah, our deen is a deen in which ghanaim was made halal for us. The booty from jihad, these type of things. The Prophet did not completely shun the dunya. He just warned us, don't let the dunya take over. Isa's way is literally a complete negation of dunya. If you study the hadith dealing with Isa, he was an absolute zahid. He was an absolute zahid. And it's only until the end of time when he comes and follows the way of Muhammad ﷺ, does he get married and does he fulfill the worldly obligation. Because he was dealing with a people that had entered into complete materialism. And so he is literally Ruh Allah. He's the spirit of Allah, owned by Allah. But the Ruh is the opposite of Madda. spirit is the opposite of material matter. And this is the nature of Isa. He's literally pure spirit. So his teaching was pure spiritual. So the Dajjal's teaching will be pure materialism. In other words, he will teach people that your salvation is through the dunya. He will tell people that if you acquire dunya, then you'll be saved. You'll feel good about yourself. Self-esteem. Have success. Do all these things in the dunya, and finally and then when people feel guilty, which is human nature to feel remorse about bad things, they go to the Dajjalic priest, like the psychiatrist and the social worker, and they say, no, it's all right. It's okay to be homosexual. This is a lifestyle choice. Because teenagers feel great sickness, these people that enter into these diseased relationships, and they feel guilt. Many of them commit suicide. What does the Dajjalic system tell them? They say, no, this is socialization. This is this evil Judeo-Christian culture that's telling you these things are bad. That's not bad. It's just a natural impulse. It's a natural choice. If the man drinking alcohol because of a weakness in his moral character, if he goes there and he tells you, no, alcohol is a disease. It's a disease. You have a disease. You can't help yourself. This is what they tell them. If they go to the psychiatrist, he tells them, no, you're okay, I'm okay, you're okay. Let's build your self-esteem. Feel good about yourself. It doesn't matter what you do, accept yourself. You have to learn to forgive yourself. This is the type of thing that they preach in this system. They want to eliminate the whole sense that a human being has human responsibilities before Allah and before the creation of Allah. And he has to own up to those responsibilities, or he has to make tawbah if he falls short. And he has to feel remorse, because nadama is a condition of tawbah. If you don't feel remorse, you haven't made tawbah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so this whole idea of getting out remorse and purging it from your system, is an imposter tradition. It has nothing to do with spiritual teaching. But this is what the Dajjal and the Dajjalic system want to tell people. The other thing the Prophet said, he would have mountains of wheat, جبال من خبز والناس في جهد إلا من اتبعه. He would have mountains of wheat, and people are suffering except those who follow him. Now if you look at the demarcation of the world today, those people in this disease system, they eat from the Dajjal. But those who don't follow the system, they're not. They're suffering. They have poverty. They have hunger. They have all these things. And so what does the shayateen? وَتُبْعَثُ مَعَهُ شَيَاطِينَ تُكَلِّمُ النَّاسِ. There will be sent with the Dajjal shayateen that speak to the people. And they say, أَلَيْسَ بِهَذَا رَبُّكُمْ? Isn't this your Lord? Isn't this your God? Isn't He providing for you? You see, they want to take people's dependence away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and make them depend on the wheat that they provide. You see, the mountains of wheat, if you just do what we say, if you enter into the 5-year plan with the IMF and the World Bank, we'll give you wheat, we'll help you get out of your suffering. They don't want people to be independent of them and dependent on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They want to create a dependency which is the nature of Rabb and Marbub. This is the relationship between a slave and his Lord, is the relationship of a dependent on an independent. Allah is mustaghnin an al-khalq. Allah is independent of His creation, and we are dependent on Him. But what this system, which is preparing itself for this final manifestation of evil in the Dajjal, is to make people completely dependent on it and free from Allah. This is what they want to do. So you have health insurance, you don't worry about things. You don't worry, you have health insurance. We'll take care of you. The ambulance will get here. Call 911. You see, وَإِذَا بَلَغَتَ الْحُلْقُومُ وَأَنْتُمْ حِينَئِذٍ تَنْظُرُونَ وَنَحْنُ أَقْرَبُ إِلَيْهِ مِنْكُمْ وَلَكِنْ لَا تُبْصِرُونَ. When the ruh reaches the hukum, what do? Call 911? This is what they want you to think, that they'll always be there to help you. And it's a lie. It's a lie. The system is a lie. It's a lie, and it cheats people out of their divine right to be slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It wants to make them slaves of the system itself. And put people into a state of power.